Hey folks, welcome back. Just before we head out to the woods, I want to show you something I've got going on here. I've got the club car, 1994 club car DS inside the shop. If you've been around before, you know I like golf carts. I use these to get around all my trails, do some chores and things like that. Now inside here, I'm missing a vital part. I don't have a battery in here. What I had before it was empty, was those four 12-volt batteries. Instead of putting those things back in here and guessing what the charge is, I'm going to put in a dedicated single golf cart battery. Now I'm just about to show you that, but one of the reasons this thing's going to be kind of nice compared to those, or even the original batteries, was I have a little display model that's going to tell me exactly what the charge is. So when I'm way back in the woods and I'm driving around, I don't feel like I'm going to be stranded out there because the thing runs out of power without me noticing. So we'll slide this in. There we go. If we look down here, the heart of the operation, the beast, the battery, it's here. It's ready to go. This is a big battery, 51.2 volts. I'm looking forward to seeing how much power this thing has. Now it's nice because it's a contained unit. I don't have separate batteries. I don't have separate connections to corrode, to deal with, to maintain. I like the fact that it's all in one. I also like the fact that I can manage this. I can see what's going on with it at any time because of that thing up there. Now that wire, as you can see, runs under the floorboard, and then it plugs right into the front of the battery, that shiny piece, and that'll give me an update as we're moving. Also give me an update on the status of the battery at any time. Now there's also a Bluetooth option I should mention, so I can have a cell phone out, have the app downloaded, check out the diagnostics with this thing. But it's nice having the ability to see what's going on without guessing how much power you have and getting stranded back in the back 40. Right here, the charger. I haven't decided if I'm going to permanently affix it down there for now, but there's options. You see the holes there. Now the one side of the charger has this connection, and then that plugs into this connection, and this stays obviously attached to the battery. But first things first, let's get this thing turned on, and we'll see what it's telling us. Now keep in mind, I haven't charged this battery at all. And so I will need to do that at some point. 54%, okay. It looks like it's telling us the current, so that's going to change, I'm assuming, as I move. That's measured in amperes. And you can see down here, voltage. There's our temperature. I'm assuming that's the temperature of the battery. And then we've got some other information. And I don't know all the ins and outs of this yet. But the good thing is, status is normal. Tells me the number of cycles. I'm assuming it's going to record the maximum and minimum temperature the battery gets to. And then page 3. Okay. And then obviously we can go back to page 1. All right. Everything's on again. Keys on. Let's back up. My only concern here is if this seat, this piece of wood, doesn't stay put, I'm going to end up sitting down awful low right on the ground. Wish me luck. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's got some juice to it. We just went up a pretty good hill, and it pulled up the hill. It wasn't a slug by any means. Feels like I'm in one of those low riders. Ooh, no cushion in that seat. But yeah, it's got some torque to it, and one of the great things about the electric golf carts that I really like is it's silent. There's a lot of wildlife out, especially in the spring, and with a nice quiet setup like this, you often see them. The gas one, not so much. Well, I didn't think that was going to happen, but it did. Okay. Can't drive quite as fast. I almost ended up down in there. Everything looks fine. Let's hope that stays put. We got to make her back still. Okay. I got to grab something again at the shop, but I'd say it's a success. I'm looking forward to being able to tell exactly what this thing's doing without guessing. Thanks for joining me. Let's keep going. Alright, fast forward a little bit. I got the seat fixed. I'm back out here in the woods, just about to do a little bit of work. You see how there's some ruts here from some rain after the spring thaw? I'm going to try to smooth those out. I'll go get the tractor in just a minute. But here in particular, like, it's real bad. All this is quite sandy, and so I'm going to go get the land plane. One of my favorite implements for the tractor because it's so easy to use. You can take a pass down here and you'll be shocked at what this looks like after. But I just wanted to give you a heads up before we head down here. It's pretty rugged, especially like right here. So we'll get all this cleaned up, smoothed out, and hopefully before long it's a lot easier to travel down. You see right here in particular all the ruts. If you go over this with a few passes, it should start to fill them in. But again, if you look, it's quite, well, it's quite wet still, so we'll see what we can do. I'm not looking for miracles today, but I am looking for a bit of an improvement. Now down here in particular, it's so bad, I don't even know if we can drive down here. Let's head on down. Now it is quite clay-like right here, but we should be able to fill some of these in. And like, have a look at those. Those are brutal. So we'll see what we can do. Well, looking down there, that pretty much sums up the results of today, and it's no fault of the land plane. That thing works really well, but just like any tool, you got to have the right application for the tool in order to work its best. Now, when we first started out, the ground was really wide open. It was really dry. That thing, the land plane, was really grading nicely, allowing for the high spots to be knocked down, low spots to be filled in. But then as we made our way deeper into the woods and there's not as much sun, we're still early in the spring, the mud holes, the ruts, well, they clumped all the soil up. And despite knocking down the high spot, it's not dry enough in order to fill in the low spots. So it's just creating these little clumps and piles. And that's something I'll go back over, though, once things dry out. Now, that land plane, if you're interested, this unit here, it's got 3/4 inch thick end plates or side plates. That puts the weight of this whole thing right around 890 pounds. That's 7 feet wide. It's got the scarifiers on the front, but I've got them raised all the way up at this point. And so the only thing doing the work here is the cutting edge. You can see there's a cutting edge here, okay, on both of them there. And so the idea is, as you're driving along, the shoes on the side, which are adjustable, kind of hard to see at this point. Let's see them down there. Those shoes, which are adjustable, there's 3 bolts on each side, so you can move them up and down. They ride along the ground. The cutting edge will cut the ground, cut off the high spots, allow the soil to fall over the top, hits the next cutting edge, allows it to then get smoothed out one final time, and then it fills in the low spots. So that's the idea. Of course, if you've got no roots, you can drop the scarifiers down, and that will really pulverize or maybe chomp up the soil before you smooth it out. But I don't have that option here. Now, the land plane, I think, is something that I would probably get instead of getting a box blade. Now, I own a box blade because I didn't actually know about a land plane when I bought the box blade. But I think, knowing what I know now, this thing's a lot more user-friendly. You just sort of set it and forget it, as they say. You put it down on the ground and drive. This is good for all kinds of things. I use it on a stone laneway. I use it on dirt trails. I use it in wide open areas just to knock down high spots and smooth things out. And people I've heard use it for like horse stalls or riding rings and things of that nature as well. So it's very versatile. The box blade, you can do a lot of work, move a lot of dirt. However, you have to pay attention to how much dirt you're picking up versus how much dirt you're smoothing out. The reason being is a box blade has a piece on the back and this doesn't. So I can just set this, the dirt falls off. A box blade, if I set it like that, I'll only go a few feet before the box is completely full. Now, if you're interested in seeing more of this in drier conditions out here in the woods, make sure you check out the videos at the end of this playlist. This comes from Farmer Equipment Sales, made right here in Ontario, Canada. And they've got all kinds of stuff there. This, including the landscape rake that I use, you'll see from time to time. Real solid for sure. If you did have any questions, make sure you put it down below. As always, I do appreciate you watching. Make sure you come back real soon and send some drying vibes. It's kind of soupy out here. See you next time.